Right, well, upon request, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the Galaxy S3 because, because someone requested it and I thought, well, I'll figure them out as well. So let's get straight into it. These pictures are running through now are some taken from Engadget, so just a bit of an acknowledgement there. So what we're actually looking at in terms of spec and what is actually Galaxy supposedly giving out to customers. We're looking at a 4.8-inch HD Super AMOLED screen, which is pretty funky. It does look quite good. We're getting 1280 by 720 in terms of resolution, which is pretty good on quite a small screen. It's using Gorilla Glass 2 to make sure that it's going to be protected and it's not going to break and things like that. 1.4 gigahertz quad core Exynos processor, one of the Samsung's creations in collaboration with the likes of ARM and things like that. It's at the moment currently that quad core is only going to be in the Galaxy S3. We may or may not see that in other devices as we go along. The previous generation of Exynos processors have been in stuff like the Mu X and things like that, which is pretty funky. A gig of RAM, which is pretty standard nowadays anyway. In terms of camera features, we've got an 8 megapixel rear facing, which is about 1080p resolution, and a front facing 1.9 megapixel camera, which gives you 720p at the front. They're not actually giving, or Samsung aren't actually giving out much in terms of like camera features. It's not going the way the iPhone does in terms of amazing optics, because Samsung is going for the social aspect of photography. So they're looking at getting, users are looking for, essentially, they're looking for, social integration and showing it to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and things like that, as opposed to them, blowing it up on some massive advertising poster. So they're looking, it's generally aimed at the average user. The average user doesn't really care too much about camera optics. Obviously, you want something that's reasonably good so that you can take pictures of your family and your friends and things like that. But the majority of people would just want to be posting it to Twitter and Facebook. So Samsung is going for the actual software-based integration and making sure things are fast and nice and funky, as opposed to images being insanely crisp and the CMOS sensor getting enough light and all these other funky bits and pieces. So in terms of radio action and 3G and all these other bits and pieces, we're getting HSDPA Plus initially, and then there'll be a 4G LTE coming soon. People in the UK don't have to worry about that too much because the government's still funking around with the specification on that. It looks like it's not actually going to be compatible with 4G phones from America anyway, because the standard's going to be slightly different. But obviously, if you're in the US, you'll be able to get 4G LTE reasonably soon. In terms of storage, you're getting 16 gig on board. And thankfully, we're getting some microSD action. Unfortunately, for some reason, the HTC One X doesn't come with a microSD slot, so that's a bit annoying. But yeah, you can store up to 64 gig. Put a 64 gig microSD slot in there, which is pretty sweet. The standard Bluetooth, BGM, Wi-Fi that you'd obviously expect, and NFC, and some Wi-Fi Direct. As well. So software-wise, it's a standard Android 4.0 that everybody's going with, but with Samsung's TouchWiz on top. So we're getting some funky little features with that. So the home screen is going to be slightly different to straight-up Android. There's a funky little feature in it that actually allows you to play videos on top of, or as well as, using another app. So you can be browsing the internet and you can be playing a video at the same time, which is really funky and I quite like, and I've always wanted this to happen with YouTube. Unfortunately, is it only with the native Samsung app, so there's not going to be anything. So you can't use it with third-party apps. You can't use it with YouTube and Vimeo and things like that, and Vivo, which is a bit annoying, but it's kind of expected really. But yeah, only with a native video app, which is fine. I mean, if you got put some video on it, that's okay. It's quite a funky feature. I quite like that. There's also a new feature called Smart Stay, which you may or may not have heard about already, which basically it tracks your eye movement and sees whether or not you're looking at the screen. If you're not looking at the screen, it turns the screen off, and that's that really. I don't know how much of a difference this is going to make on battery life. I mean, they're going for this Exynos processor. I don't know how to say that. Exynos processor, which is supposed to be good on battery life, and performance versus battery life is supposed to be really good. But whether or not that's having the front-facing camera on all the time, tracking your eyes, may or may not. I mean, it depends, I suppose, because I'm going to assume they're obviously not going to be tracking full 720p because that would be silly. But I don't know. It just seems a bit I don't know whether or not that's going to make much difference to battery life, but I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Then we're getting some Allshare Cast, which it's via Wi-Fi Direct. Now, Wi-Fi Direct is this very funky thing you can do with, and you can share media through it. And you can share, well, like phone to phone, you can share media through it, or laptop and things like that. So if you've got something on your phone, you want to share it with somebody else, you can do that. But the other thing is, you can use it with music systems, sound systems, and with stuff like TV. So what Samsung are trying to get towards is streaming video from your phone, or mirroring what's on your phone to your TV, which is brilliant. A bit like Apple AirPlay, which is fantastic. And Samsung are looking at getting specific apps that allow you to do proper gaming on a huge screen and things like that, which will be really, really good, and that'll be really interesting to see, because there's not really anything for Android out at the moment that allows you to do that properly. I mean, there are a few bits, but they're a bit iffy, really. But say, looking at getting towards AirPlay, which is fantastic, with an Apple TV, it's brilliant, and it works really, really well. The only downside to that will be battery life will be rubbish. So you'll be looking at you may or may not be able to watch a whole entire film via that wireless connection, because you're streaming a lot of data through it, especially if it's 1080p data as well, 1080p video. That's kind of it really in terms of specs and stuff like that. But my personal roundup of it is that I probably will look at getting one. I had my revisions, as you saw in the previous video, about the Galaxy S3, and I was like, well, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, fantastic spec-wise, is brilliant. I think it looks fantastic. The only thing I would say is it looks better in white. It looks better in white than it does in black. You see the two comparisons there. Because I think the black one just looks cheap and tacky. I always think the white phones look awful anyway. But I think actually this phone looks fantastic in white. I may or may not get it. I was thinking about getting the HTC One, but I don't think I'm going to get that one, on the One X even. But I don't think I'll get that now, mainly because Samsung's brought out this, and it's insanely high powered. My current phone, which is this bad boy, the HTC Desire, the Desire HD, which is fantastic. It's a dev phone, it's brilliant. You can chuck custom ROMs on here really easily, and it's brilliant. It's getting slow now, and I love the massive screen, but I need to replace it really. So yeah, that's kind of it really. That's kind of my roundup of the Galaxy S3. I'll put some links down below of some links to Engadget and things like that, because obviously I've nicked some of their images. So apart from that, I shall catch you in a later video.